హలో
దీపిక మేడం, హలో
సార్ చెప్పండి.
ఇది మన రిసోర్స్ పర్సన్స్ అందరూ జాయిన్ అయిపోయినట్లే కదా?
ఇవాళ ఒక్కరే అది
ఒక్కరేనా?
సామ్సంగ్ గాంధీ సార్ వచ్చేసారుగా.
ఇంకెవరైనా మాట్లాడే వాళ్ళు మధ్యలో ఇంటరాక్ట్ అయ్యేవాళ్ళు?
లేదు సార్, వచ్చేసారు, అందరూ వచ్చేసారు.
ఒకసారి చెప్పండి, నాకు మెసేజ్.
ఎస్ సార్, మళ్ళీ నేను కన్ఫర్మ్ చేసుకుంటాను సార్.
నేను లక్ష్మీ నివాస్ని. డాడీ ఫోన్ మాట్లాడుతున్నారు.
అవునవును. లేదు మామూలుగా ఎవరైనా జాయిన్ అయిపోవచ్చు, అసలే ఉండదు.
హలో
లేదు లేదు, రిజిస్టర్ అయిన వాళ్ళకి మాత్రమే లింక్ ఫార్వర్డ్ చేస్తాను. అవును, మీకు అయితే అందరికీ అవైలబుల్. ఏమంటుంది?
మా డాడీ ఫోన్ మాట్లాడుతుండు అని చెప్పిన. చూడండి.
హలో, ఎస్ సార్.
Hello.
మేడం, మ్యూట్ ఆల్ పీపుల్. దీపికా మేడం, మ్యూట్ ఆల్.
సార్ యూఆర్ మ్యూటింగ్.
ఎవరు హలో హలో అంటున్నారు మధ్యలో, అందరూ మ్యూట్ చేసేసేయండి. ఎవరు
చేస్తున్నాను. దే ఆర్ మ్యూటింగ్, అన్మ్యూటింగ్ దెమ్సెల్వ్స్ అగైన్.
అట్లా చేయకూడదు కదా మరి. అక్కడ చెక్ మార్క్ ఉంటుంది, డోంట్ అలో దెమ్సెల్ఫ్, అన్మ్యూట్ దెమ్సెల్ఫ్ అని ఒక ఆప్షన్ ఉంటుంది, దాన్ని తీసేయండి. తీసేసి ఎవరే అన్మ్యూట్ చేసుకోరు. ఓన్లీ కోస్ట్ మాత్రమే చేసుకుంటారు. కోస్ట్ అంటే మన వాళ్ళే కదా, మన వాళ్ళు ఎవరు డిస్టర్బ్ చేయరు కదా.
Hello.
Just watch what happens. You understand? Okay? Don't talk also.
Kartika, shall we go forward?
Yes, sir. It's 4 o'clock. We can start.
It is 4. Kartika?
Yes, sir. We'll start, sir. Yes, sir.
Stop.
Our Zoom room is filled up. You can channel them to YouTube, sir.
Okay. Automatically they will join to YouTube, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. We proceed.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are having a session on
Yes, unmute, ma'am. Madam, you unmute. Okay.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are going to have a session on Teacher as a Counselor by Dr. Samson Gandhi. Abraham Lincoln, in one of his letters to his son's teachers, is reported to have said a lot about what a teacher can do to his little child. I'll just read out a few lines. Teach him to learn how to gracefully lose and enjoy winning. Teach him how to laugh when he is sad. Teach him that there is no shame in tears. Teach him there can be glory in failure and despair in success. The spirit of this letter is that, the image of the teacher is that what comes to our mind when we just listen to this, when we just read through this letter. As a guide, as a counselor, as someone who shows the path and gives advice when needed. In addition to teaching, there is a lot more that an educator does today. Children today, as we observe, are burdened by problems and challenges that impact them physically and emotionally as well. Frequently, this kind of stress negatively influences them and their learning. The stress can manifest itself in inappropriate behavior patterns. The responsibility to neutralize the negative effects of such stressful situations falls on the teachers as they inspire trust in their students. Youngsters may lack the experience and ability to deal with the stressful situations. It is at this juncture that the students turn to somebody whom they can trust, definitely after their parents, and it is the teacher. Dr. Samson Gandhi would throw more light on this aspect, that is teacher as a counselor. I request Mr. Parthasarathi lecturer, Department of English, to introduce the speaker of today's session. Over to you, sir. Pardasardi, sir. Pardasardi, sir.
Sir, if you have a problem, message immediately with your net. If you have any problem with your net, message immediately. You were there, we saw you.
Any problem, madam? Hello?
Sir, find out Pardasardi, sir.
Kartika, you please continue with the information about sir. There's some problem, it seems. Sir, am 1 minute. Jalandhar,
Yes, sir.
allow him to talk, co-host. Unmute him.
Yeah, yes, sir. I will do it. Yes, sir. He unmuted, sir.
Good afternoon. It is my privilege to introduce Dr. Samson Gandhi Garu, today's resource person. Sir is having MBA degree and Doctor of Ministry. He serves as the Executive Director of Person to Person Institute for Christian Counselling. Today, it is an indigenous ministry training counselors internationally. He is a widely published author, international speaker on counseling and leadership, a compelling teacher on spirituality and sought-after family counselor. Sir had a successful career in marketing and exports and imports of garments and textiles. Sir contributed many articles on counseling in national magazines and international journals. He has co-authored a book titled Shelters on the Highway. I repeat, Shelters on the Highway, which gives guidelines on how to establish counseling centers. Words are not sufficient to talk about his achievements. I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. I don't want to take much time and stand in between you and Gandhi Garu. Thanks a lot for the opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Sir,
I hand over to the organizers.
Samson Gandhi, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Most welcome, sir, to the session. You may please start the session.
Yes, thank you very much, Karthika madam, principal sir, and the distinguished organizers of this spectacular event. I say spectacular because I can see 500 screens on the computer, and each of you in your own comfort zone, some formally prepared for this webinar, and some informally, some very casually too. But nevertheless, as it would go, what we want really is to take back something precious something useful for our own personal life, for our own families, and especially for our students. Teaching is an amazing, amazing job. And I would not even call it a job, but I would call it as a calling. Now, calling is a mission-oriented task. So a batch of students that pass through each one of your classes are an ocean of opportunity for you to impact their lives, transform their entire mission of life forever, provided we see that we can touch their lives, ignite their minds, and warm their hearts. So every teacher who can do this, whether you are a professor, whether you are a lecturer or a teacher, I'm using these terms very interchangeably. So when I use the word teacher, please don't get offended, because I have the greatest regard and respect for the highest profession that you're carrying, irrespective of the title that you have. I myself, I love teaching, although I have never gone to a formal educational institution as a teacher with a qualification of bachelor's in education, or for that matter, a postgraduate degree in teaching. But nevertheless, teaching is my passion. Now, I teach to train counselors. I teach spirituality for people so that they can live an abundant life. I teach in order to touch lives. I teach to illuminate minds. I teach in order to make people helpers, people growers, and people transformers. So today, my topic is on counseling, teacher as a counselor. In a moment, I will share my screen and make my presentation. But I would say that I will recall a famous quotation that all of us are familiar with. And the quotation goes like this: "The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world." This is spoken of mothers who shape the character and the persona of children right from their when they are infants. The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. And I believe the hand that wields a chalk on the green board or the white board, the hand that holds a chalk, shapes the destiny of the students. The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. The hand that wields a chalk shapes the destiny of the students. So to you, I raise a toast, teachers, and I consider it a great privilege and an honor to address 500 distinguished members of the teaching fraternity and the rest of them who are probably watching on YouTube and Facebook. So with those opening remarks, let me present to you the session on teacher as a counselor. So I'm sharing my screen and I'll try to disable I'll try to disable the participants' annotation so that nobody scribbles on it. So teacher as a, sorry, let me just make the, yeah, got it. So teacher as a counselor, under that, I'm looking at attitudes and skills for effective counseling. Now, somebody said, your attitude determines your altitude. You have a positive attitude, helpful attitude, contributing attitude, collaborative attitude, then you will succeed. It is not the ones who have the highest IQ and who score the highest marks in the classroom who ultimately impact the society and the community, but it is the ones who have the right attitude. So today we are looking at what are the right attitudes of being a counselor. In a moment, I will talk about who's a counselor, but let me unpack the words attitudes and then skills. So there was a famous clothing store, and I think it is still there. It's a good brand. It's a famous brand, and the brand of this ready-to-wear, garment brand is called Warehouse. Warehouse is not as in a WAREHOUSE, but WEAR, warehouse. In other words, it's a house of what you wear, the garments. So this particular garment brand had a slogan, and the slogan is "Wear your attitude." So that was a very popular attitude quite some time back. Popular slogan, advertising slogan, some time back. Today, if you look at, as you're sitting in the comfort of your room or office or institution, let me ask you, what is your attitude today? What is your outlook on life today? So as a counselor, we need to have certain attitudes that will make you an effective counselor. So let us look at another one. What is a skill? Now, somebody used the word practice. If you want to be skillful teacher, skillful singer, skillful musician, no matter what profession, vocation that you want to pursue, you ought to be skillful. And as you improve your knowledge, you add skill to it. And skill is nothing but practicing and practicing and practicing. The word practice is emphasized in skilling, in the word skill. So let me give you a proverb. And the proverb goes like this on the word skill. A wise king has written this, and he said, the King Solomon, he said, "Do you see a man skilled with his hands? Or do you see a man skilled at his work? He will serve before kings. He will not serve before obscure men." In other words, if you want to be used mightily effectively, then you got to be skilled. Do you see a man or a woman skilled with his hands, good at his work? He will serve before kings. He will not serve before obscure men. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the session on teacher as a counselor. And the topic is attitudes and skills for effective counseling. I use the word effective because whatever we do, we must be fruitful. We must bear fruit. It must make a difference in the life of the students in our context. There must be a transformation, as you will see in the next slide. So, what is counseling? Now, I don't know when you heard this word counseling. Way back when we were in college, in late mid-90s, there was a computer institute called National Institute of Information Technology. They are the first people who brought computer education into the country in a popular way. And so they used to have an advertisement, and in the advertisement they said, if you want to know what are the courses that we offer, come and meet our counselor. Now, the word counselor was introduced to the Indian community and society more as a person who will guide, who will give information and guide what courses to choose. In fact, it continues today. When we want to choose a college or a course, after we write an entrance examination, students write an entrance examination, they have to go for counseling. Now, I am not talking about that counseling. I am not talking about which course to choose, while it may be applicable, while it may be relevant, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about counseling as it is applicable to our persona, our life situations, as to who we are and what we can become. So, counseling I'm using in a very, very personal and in a deeper sense of how we can transform the lives of the students as counselors. So what is counseling? I want to give you 3 phrases, and later on, I will request you to attempt a definition. So what is counseling? First and foremost, when we counsel with a person, now we use the word advice, we give information, we give choices, we give alternatives, all that happens. When we counsel with a person, when we sit with a student, listen to the problem situation and speak into their situation, what must happen? There must be a constructive change. So the process of counseling through listening, through empathy, through building a rapport, through making a confrontation, what is reality, we must achieve a constructive change. In other words, if a student comes to you sad, that student must go back happy. If the student comes to you confused, the student must go back with clarity. If a student comes to you, very upset, angry, the student must go back relaxed or peaceful. So there must be a constructive, positive change. The second thing that must happen as a result of counseling, or the second thing that is there in a counseling, is a caring relationship. Now, as a teacher, I know you have a batch of students, anywhere between 40 to 60, I believe. And to address the academic concerns of a student is one level. And then we are saying a teacher must also be a counselor to address personal issues. Is it necessary? Is it possible? Should we be doing it? I believe in your own interest, if you want your precious life that you're investing in the lives of students to bear fruit for lifetime, not just for marks, not just for result, that is essential, I know that, but not just for marks and results, but the result of life for future. When they go on to build a good marriage, a good parent, when they go on to become productive members of the society, if you want that to happen, it is important that you build a caring relationship in order to make a difference in their emotional life and in their personal life as well. So there must be a relationship in which the student gets an impression, my teacher, my professor, my lecturer cares for me, not just the marks on my mark sheet, but cares for me as an individual, as a person. The third one is this caring, lest it should be taken for granted, must be within clear relational boundaries. So there, it is very important that we should not allow children or students to take advantage of our goodness. They must not say, well, I will somehow go and share my personal problems and my teacher gets impressed and she will or he will give me more marks. No, my dear friends, no. We should not allow students to take advantage of us. And we must maintain clear relational boundaries where there is no emotional entanglement. So we must lay clear boundaries where we meet students appropriately in an appropriate context and in an appropriate environment. There must not be any emotional entanglement, because the moment you care for students, the students misunderstand sometimes because they are not getting that kind of attention or care from anywhere. So in counseling, 3 important factors are there. As a result of counseling, constructive change must happen. And such constructive change will happen when there is a clear caring relationship and there are clear relational boundaries. So if you were to attempt a definition, I want you to complete this sentence and I will start it and you can complete in your mind. Because we are a 500 group, I cannot interact with you face to face, but in your mind you can attempt a definition. And the definition goes like this. Counseling is a process which brings about complete the sentence. Counseling is a process which brings about a constructive change in a caring relationship which has clear relational boundaries. What is counseling? Counseling is a process through which we can bring about constructive change in a caring relationship with clear boundaries, which has clear relational boundaries. Dear friends, I'm sharing this session on teacher as an effective counselor, attitude and skills for effective counseling, for not only being useful for students. Let me tell you, first and foremost, it will be useful for your immediate relationships, to your family members, as you relate to them, as you relate to your colleagues, and even students. So while we keep the focus on the students, never forget that counseling skills are life skills. Today we are in Corona pandemic times, and you know how the emotional distress across the nation, across the world, is destroying lives. People are stressed. People are anxious. People are fearful of their lives. People are shattered because of lack of adequate medical attention. The caregivers themselves are struggling to maintain sanity. So we know that we want people who can listen to us, people who care for us. So when you talk about caring, clear relational boundaries, caring relationship, somebody said this beautifully, and that is, nobody cares how much you know till they know how much you care. I'll say that again. Nobody cares how much you know till they know how much you care. So my dear friends, as lecturers, as professors, how much do you care? Not only for the marks of the student, but also for the whole personality, whole being, whole persona of the students. So counseling is important. So in other words, counseling, I'll just adjust this. Counseling is important because our life has become high-tech, high-speed, and high-stress. Now, there was a time when life was slow. I myself am born and brought up in Hyderabad. I have nothing to do with Gujarat. And because my name Gandhi, in the end, many people think I'm from Gujarat. No, I'm not from Gujarat. I have great respect and regard for Gujaratis, no problem with that. But along the way, I acquired my name Gandhi. Don't worry about that, right? Many people actually wonder, what a strange combination, Samson and Gandhi. If you know the story of Samson, he was a mighty man of valor and great fighter in the biblical literature. And Gandhi, is a non-violent person. What a combination, isn't it? Violent and non-violent. All right. So I'm just giving you that introduction so that you connect with me. I'm not a distant person talking to you, but I want you to connect and relate to me. So I grew up in Hyderabad, and I know Hyderabad people are called laid-back people because it is a city of Nizams, and Nizams lived in opulence, and the whole culture was, as Mumbaikars would say, a laid-back attitude, but not any longer. Today, the same laid-back city of Hyderabad is a high-tech city. It's one of the leading IT hubs of the country. And you and I know today, our entire middle class and upper middle class and others, even the lower middle income people, are high-tech, high-speed, and therefore high stress. When we can't live life in a relaxed manner, there is stress. When there are deadlines to pursue, when there are projects to submit, research to be conducted, and papers to be corrected, family to take care, the stress levels are very high. And this results in low energy, low level of connectivity in terms of emotional bonding, emotional understanding, emotional relationships, low connections, and ultimately resulting in a low quality of life. Many times we ask, what is the use of life? Eating, working, sleeping, routine. So we try to create a lot of diversions and entertainment and try to make life good. And youngsters today are asking the same questions because of lack of purpose and meaning for life, because of lack of interest in life, because there is a lot of disconnectivity. So you see, counseling is important because our community reflects, our society reflects low energy, low level of connectivity, and low quality of life. We must upgrade life. We must increase life. You know, we must.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir,
Okay,
you are.
fine. At any time, if there's any disturbance, let me know so that I can pause.
Sure, sir, sure.
Thank you. So, another reason why counseling is important is people develop personal problems. Now, you and I might say a teacher is not supposed to get into personal matters of students. I agree. There is a boundary. But there are some personal problems that impact negatively the academic performance of the students also. So we need to be aware of that. So teachers cannot go into classrooms with PPE kits. Okay, today, because of coronavirus, medical professionals go into hospitals with PPE kits. But lecturers, professors, and teachers do not have any such PPE kits. And if you do, with a lot of self-protection and say, no, I am here for these 45 minutes or 1 hour, and this is my job. I will fulfill my responsibilities, bare minimum responsibilities, and go away. Well, you will perform your job, no doubt. But students will probably not be impacted for life. So what are the personal problems? They are relational in nature. Now, imagine a student from rural areas, a student from semi-urban areas, coming and sitting in a classroom with with children, with other students from very rich, influential, and well-to-do students. When they come together, you and I know that learning happens in groups. Learning happens not just from blackboard. Learning happens not just from the mouth of the teacher, but among the students themselves. And I know that students, when they come into these kind of new and strange situations, they are unable to adjust. Nobody recognizes them. Nobody cares for them. They don't have the language skills, and they're not able to become part of the class, belong to the class. And so they develop relational problems, interpersonal relationship problems. So people develop personal problems which are relational in nature. And number two, they are emotional in nature. Imagine if a student is feeling left out, does not belong to the class, what will happen? That student is preoccupied and not paying attention to your teaching. And there is obviously your hard work in teaching is going waste because your student is not emotionally there, present with you to receive instruction from you. And sometimes it is even physical, right? Students spend a lot of long hours on internet browsing and things like that. Because they're bored to death in life. Because they are pressurized in watching something that is unhealthy. Let me give you an illustration. There was this young girl who did her studies in Saudi Arabia, and she came and joined one of the big colleges, well-known colleges in Hyderabad. And towards the end of the first year, I asked her, "Beta, how are you doing?" And you know what she said? "Uncle, I am feeling left out." And you know why? I asked her why. And she said, "Uncle, forget about my academics. The moment I got to know some of my friends, and the students in that particular college were from all over India. And she said, "Uncle, my friends, culturally, of course, we differ. That's all right." And she said, "Uncle, my friends had their own curriculum, leaving aside the college curriculum." I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Uncle, all my friends are talking about one particular book and the movie that was made on it." And what is a book and the movie? 50 Shades of Grey. And this is a book and a movie explicitly on sex. And she said, all their conversation at the dining table and other things is on this book. And she said, like this, they have some very, very clear curriculum of their own. They read the study and their discussion is this, and academics are secondary. So what is happening? When they are spending late nights, when they are indulging in these kind of things, they are impacted physically. Lack of sleep will disturb their moods. Lack of appetite, they don't eat all the meals. Lack of appetite disturbs their physiology. They have physical problems, which do not help them to make a good progress in their study. So as a result, what happens? Relational, emotional, physical result in their poor performance. So what can a teacher do? So personal problems need personal attention. Now there you go. While you are doing a fantastic job in covering the curriculum and teaching excellently, some of the students, not all, some of the students need personal attention. So I'm asking today, a teacher, can he or she play the role of a counselor? Should a teacher be playing the role of a counselor? So let me tell you 3 things that a teacher does. I propose, please agree, disagree, but in the past, many teachers have agreed to this. A teacher does 3 things. First, a teacher is a compiler, meaning the teacher is on top of all the knowledge. He has compiled all the knowledge relevant for the curriculum. He knows the latest books. He knows the research articles that one must read. He knows how to explain them well. So he's a compiler. His notes are perfect. He explains each point very clearly. So a teacher plays the role of a compiler. A teacher also plays the role of a challenger. What do we mean by challenger? When you say challenger, the person that comes to my mind is APJ Abdul Kalam, our ex-president. And he went round all over the nation to inspire students with his stories of what a background that he came from, and yet what a destiny that he reached. And he said, how could he challenge wings of fire? All right. How could he challenge students, ignite their minds? All right. So a teacher is a challenger as well. And thirdly, from my point of view, my presentation is a teacher is also a counselor. So if that is so, if you will agree with me, then I will present to you a teacher as a counselor, 4 attitudes and 4 skills. So I know you are great teachers. I know through your teaching, you challenge and inspire students, but can you, as a teacher, be also a counselor? If you're not already, that is. I'm sure some teachers are amazing counselors. They spend time, they go beyond the classroom hours, they take personal interest. And it is a need of the hour that as we, adopt and implement the new education policy, where it is not just about academics, but the whole development of the whole personality of the students, we need to be counselors as well. So for that, I want to present 4 attitudes and 4 skills. What are the 4 attitudes? First one is unconditional positive regard. All right? Unconditional positive. Now, this is a phrase. This is a phrase that is coined by a great counselor. All right? A great counselor. And he said that many of the personal problems of people, and I'm saying including students, are the students are able to overcome if you can show no judgmental attitude, no discrimination, no criticism that is demeaning, but regard them positively, having potential for growth, then they will be all right. So he says, attitude of a counselor giving unconditional positive regard would be amazing. So he said, when we are non-judgmental, now let me give you an illustration. In the classroom, like I said, there are poor students, there are rich students. There are very articulate students who can speak very well with great English and things like that. And there are students who are intelligent, but they may not have spoken language skills. How are we discriminating? Are we discriminating? How are we discriminating sometimes? In the classroom, when we give more attention to those handsome, beautiful students, when we give more attention to those rich, influential students, when we give more attention to the gifted, articulate, communicative students, then we are judging by default that you other students are not good enough. I don't have time and attention for you. But then these are the people who have great potential. It's just that their grooming is needed. Development of spoken English is needed. And or spoken language, whatever is a language, is needed. But with attention, with positive regard, suspending judgmental attitude, if we can do that, they will flower and blossom, because what they're looking for is attention. So when we are non-judgmental and accepting them as they are, then it is like the sunshine, it is like the warmth of the sunlight on the flowers, and they will bloom. But you throw that sunshine, you cast that sunshine of yours only on few students, they become spoiled brats actually, sometimes. But others get neglected, they wilt, they wither, they don't bloom, their potential is not realized. So as somebody said, some students may not have, as I said, spoken language, or they may not dress well, or they come from rural areas, so on and so forth. So somebody said, if you accept people as they are, then they become acceptable, people of worth. So you accept people as they are, they will become people of worth. So suspend judgment, offer acceptance by attention, by appreciation, by looking at the positive side, by looking at the potential, not the current status. They come, they are malleable like clay, and they are in your hands. How you do it? By showing them an unconditional positive regard. So Roger Herding is the one who coined the word. All right. So non-judgmental and accepting. Let me look at the second attitude. The second attitude. First one is unconditional positive regard. The second one is respect. Now, sometimes we are kind to people in a condescending manner. What is condescending? We show them that we are superior and they are inferior. We are showing them we are more powerful and they are weak and vulnerable. No, my dear friends. As a counselor, you leave the powerful position of a lecturer, professor, or a teacher. As a counselor, you are very knowledgeable, highly qualified, but when you are counseling any student, you respect the worth of a person being a human being. Now, let me give you an example. Mother Teresa was an amazing person. She served in the gutters of Calcutta. And many journalists had asked her, how can you do this work? Don't you feel bad going to the gutters and picking up people who are half dead, who are, full of worms and things like that? She said, no. When I stoop down to pick up anybody from the gutters of, wherever I'm working, from those, stinking places, when I stoop down, I'm not mindful of their dirt. I'm not mindful of the smell. I'm not mindful of anything. When I look into their faces, I see the face of Jesus, my God. That's what she said. Now, when we look into the faces of our students, what do we see? There could be a lot of prejudices. There could be a lot of discrimination. All right. What do we look at? Do we look at the caste? And our respect and our dignity is attached to a lot of things. Do we look at caste? Do we respect based on caste? Do we respect based on color? Do we respect based on the locality in which they live? Do we respect them in the kind of a car they come to college? Do we respect them based on their father's position and honor? How do we respect? We must show dignity to all students, especially who come from marginal, difficult backgrounds, and treat them equally, and, if necessary, a little bit more considerately, not partially, considerately to those who need attention. So dignity and depravity, what do you see? Yes, students falter, students have probably come late, students probably do not submit assignments on time. We are not going to counsel students based on that, but we are counseling for personal problems where we do not attach the academics. Our counseling is not for the sake of academics, but our counseling is for the sake of flowering and blooming the confidence levels, the competence levels to live life, not about securing and scoring marks. And we can do that when we treat them with dignity and set aside depravity for a while. Address it, but accept them with dignity. I don't know how it happens. In India, how do policemen make arrests or charge people for a traffic offense? They use rough language. All right. So what do they say? Get out, and they take away the key of the motorcycle, or talk to them roughly. And how does a policeman, generally speaking, in the West and America speak? Sir, can I have your license, please? This is the tone and the tenor of the person may have speeded, crossed the speed limit may have actually committed a traffic offense. But the way the policeman asks for the documents is, sir, madam, can I see your license, please? Now, even a criminal, quote unquote, is to be treated with dignity and depravity because we are human beings first, then criminals, then short of our shortfall in our character, shortfall in our competencies. But do not deprave the humanity and the dignity of human beings for whatever reason. Then students can grow and bloom and blossom. So counselor attitude number 3 is genuineness. And what is this genuineness? As you can see in the picture, you have pearls there. And again, back to Hyderabad, my city. Hyderabad is also called as City of Pearls. All right. Somehow the pearl industry, especially getting the raw pearls and putting, piercing a hole into the pearl so that they could be threaded into necklaces, into chains. That industry developed, although we are not close to any ocean, that industry somehow developed in Hyderabad. So Hyderabad became the Pearl City. So I'm told, of course, thanks to my wife and my daughter and several others, I'm told that pearls are of two different kinds. One is cultured pearls, another one is natural pearls. Now, cultured pearls, like you see in the picture, are round, shiny, and they're regular. All right? They seem almost like perfect. But natural pearls have a different kind of a sheen, glow to them. And quite a few times, these natural pearls, are not perfectly round, but they have kinks in them. Kinks. Now, what do we mean by this? What do we learn from this? Let me ask you a question. Given a choice, would you buy natural pearls, even though they're expensive? Given a choice, would you buy natural pearls or cultured pearls? Many said, even though they are a little kinky, we want natural pearls. We are willing to pay high price for that because they are natural, they last long, they will not lose the shine and etc. So my dear friends, what is the application of that in counseling? Have you heard, as a counselor, we are called to be genuine. Genuine like a natural pearl. We also have our own idiosyncrasies. What is idiosyncrasies? A different way of behaving and feeling. All right. We also have our own shortcomings, our own weaknesses. All right. So we need to be genuine. For example, let's say copy. We want to teach children not to copy. All right. And this is very common in India, right? So if you want to be genuine, you have to be authentic and transparent, meaning share your life with the students. How have you been as a student? What is your success or a failure or a challenge, story of challenges? All right. So I never was in a college or a school, but teaching my students about copying. In fact, it happened when they came when they were in 8th, 9th, and 10th. When they came at that age, they said, Papa, my classmates are copying. I said, so what? Said, Papa, I know, I don't want to copy. I know that you're very clear that we should not copy. I agree. And they say, Papa, but they are getting better marks. And we are working hard. And sometimes they get even better marks. How unfair is this? I said, well, life is unfair. Who told you that life is going to be fair? We try to be fair, but in the end, life is unfair. So first, lesson of life. Life is unfair. Okay. So I said, yeah, but still hold on to the value of hold on to the value that I will never copy. I will be honest. And they turned around and said, Papa, you never copied in your life. Now I had to become transparent, genuine, authentic, and transparent. So I told my my children, I have 2 sons and a daughter, and I told my children, Beta, in fact, I copied. I told them that although my mother tongue is Telugu, I told them I copied and passed in 7th grade and 10th class. Those were the board exams. I said I copied and passed Telugu. I said only Telugu. I had problem with Telugu, and I copied and passed. And they said, "Oh, you copied and passed, and you're telling us not to copy." And that's how children are. And so my son, they asked, "So, what are you saying? How can you copy?" I said, "Hold on." Then I said, in BCom second year, something happened. I said, in BCom second year, when I was in Badruka College in Hyderabad, I had an encounter with God. And that moment onwards, I said, I will live life honestly, truthfully, honestly and truthfully. And that meant that I should never copy. And then I said, I came 5th in the university in BCom and 2nd in the university in MBA, never copy. And they said, wow, Papa, great. Then I said, okay, beta, that is not the end of the story. And I said, you're not only not to copy, but you should also not allow others to copy. I said, Papa, that is difficult. We lose a lot of friends. And I said, okay, let me tell you a story. So when I was in MBA, there was one of my friends, and his name started with R. And my name starts with S. And we had year-wise examinations. So at the end of the first year, my friend came and said, Samson, all my problems are solved. I said, what do you mean? And he said, I'm just coming from the examination branch. I've seen the seating arrangement. I'm sitting right behind you. Then I told my children, I said, yeah, that's what happened when I was in 7th and 10th. I had a good friend, Sai Srinivas, and he was brilliant in Telugu. He used to show all the grammar and used to copy and pass. And God has a very great sense of humor. And now God is putting me in the same test. I should not copy, and I should not allow my friend to copy. And so I told him, no, I am not going to show my paper. Sorry. And he said, what? You're so helpful always in all other things. You're helpful. Why are you not helping me in copying? After all, you're not copying. So he was giving me moral lecture, and he was using my own goodness against me. I said, sorry, my value system, my faith does not permit me to copy or show or allow you to copy. Then he became angry. He said, no, I'm not going to talk with you and all that. To cut a long story short, that night, when I told him about this, I was praying. And then God said, okay, you're good. You're not copying and you're not allowing him to copy, but that's not the end of your responsibility. I said, God, what? And then I told my children, God told me, ask your friend if he would be happy to do combined studies with you. And I want you to teach him and help him to write the examination without copying. I said, God, no, I will lose my marks. I will become slow in my preparation. I said, yeah, that's what it is. If you want not only to live honestly, truthfully, but also helpfully. So there's no point in being honest and truthful if we are not helpful to somebody. That's how the message came to me from God. And I went back sheepishly the next day. I said, Rangaraju, I'm willing to do combined studies with you, half-heartedly. And he said, oh, who wants your offer? You're just playing games with me. I said, this is the offer, you decide. And this was about 1 month before exams. For 15 days, he didn't speak. And when there are just 15 days, he comes to me and says, I will do combined studies with you. I said, my goodness. So the rest of the 15 days, I taught him, prepared, taught him, prepared. And as I told you, I stood second in the university. You may say, well, if I had not taught him, I may have come first. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But one thing I'll never forget, and he never forgets. And what is that? Samson, because of you, I wrote my exams, the first and the last exam in my life without copying. Because with MBA, he finished his studies. That is enough. That is enough of a reward, more than a first rank. So when we share our stories like this with our students, of our own failures and our own transitions, we are addressing their heart issue. We are inspiring them to change their values, to change their life. And I'll remind you of an advertisement of Indian snacks. What are these Indian snacks? Kurkure. Kurkure, we are familiar, it's a national brand. And the advertisement of this national brand, Kurkure, is, Ye teda hai magar mera hai. Yes, we are all tede, but we want somebody to own us, somebody to accept us as we are, so that we become more acceptable. So let us be like genuine, natural pearls. Tede hai magar hamare hai. Not only we accept ourselves, but also accept others. The fourth attitude is concrete. Focus on the problem with which the counselee comes, the student comes. Don't go here and there, especially to academics. He may come with a personal problem and they say, why are you roaming around with those people? Why are you doing this? You can get good marks. No. Address the problem with which he or she has come. All right? So, not on other matters. Stay focused with what they come with. So whether it is academic, help them academically. Whether it is interpersonal with other students, do that. So if spoken English, tell them about spoken English. Let me share my own story. As I told you, my mother tongue is Telugu. We spoke Telugu at home. My friends were all Muslim friends because I grew up in a Muslim locality, so I spoke Hindi and Urdu. I just lived stone's throw from Keshav Memorial School, and occasionally I used to even go to that school and playground and play. So I lived in CIB quarters across the road from Keshav Memorial School, and all my childhood was there. And I could never speak, although I studied in an English medium school, I could never speak one sentence in English till I came to graduation. And I was feeling very, very bad that I could not speak English with other students who were coming from Hyderabad Public School, St. Paul's, All Saints, all these guys, they spoke good English. I could not. But one friend helped me. And he said, don't worry, you make all the mistakes, I'll help you. With that encouragement, I started to speak. One person believed in me. One person came alongside me. One person helped me. And what else did I do? Those days, I sat in front of Doordarshan and listened to people like Niti Ravindran and all, and learned the pronunciation. I used to read English newspaper regularly. I used to pick up one new word from dictionary, learn the meaning, and I use it every day. That's how I picked up. That's how I picked up. Today, by God's grace, I can speak reasonably good English. Why? Because one person decided to help me, not make fun of me. One person said, I will teach you, I'll help you. Thank God for this friend of mine, Raul Johnson, who did that. So we looked at 4 attitudes, and let us look at 4 skills. What are the 4 attitudes? Unconditional positive regard, respect, and the third one is genuineness, and the 4th one is being concrete. Sorry. Let's quickly look at the 4 counselor skills. The first one is relating and attending. Look at this picture. This father is deeply immersed in newspaper. And this boy is probably crying for father's time, father's attention. In fact, I recall a similar incident with my own daughter. And she was about this high, about 8 years or 10 years, 9 years. And she was telling something that happened in the school that day. And I was deeply immersed in the paper. But I was nevertheless responding to her and saying, oh, go on. Yes, what happened then next? But still holding the paper in front of me like this. And you know, after some time, what happened? She had the freedom, she had the liberty, and she knew that I always loved her. She came rushing towards me, pulled the newspaper down, took my face in her hands, and said, Papa, look at me. That look, that attention, that look with an interest, the look with saying, what can I do for you? That knowing that comes with inquiry. Where are you from? Who are your parents? What is your background? What are your needs? How can I help you? Relating and attending. Develop a rapport with each student. And conversations around non-academic topics, personal interests, about their personality, about their life and choices, about their fears and anxieties. If you can relate and attend, and on life so one of the important skills is how do we relate and how do we attend? I challenge, when I do workshops with the teachers, I challenge. When was the last time, as a maths teacher or a science teacher, you have gone, or a language teacher, any other teacher, when was the last time, as a teacher of an academic subject, you have gone to the playground and saw a volleyball match or a basketball match or whatever match of this student who is academically not good, but he is so good in sports? When was the last time you went and watched and appreciated this person? And how did he do that? That saying, Ajay, fantastic. We are so proud of you. And give a high five to that student. What happens? It tells that student, this teacher who teaches maths or physics or chemistry or social or whatever, and took the time to see me what I'm good in. Or I cut a sorry figure in the class about my academics, but I'm the best in the playground. When was the last time a teacher could, as a teacher, you went and appreciated for a non-academic performance of a student? Wouldn't that be beautiful? If you do that, then will the student take a little bit more effort in academics? I'm sure he will do, because you took the pain of appreciating and seeing him in his area of strength, building a rapport and giving life to him, not just about marks and academics. Counseling number 2 is listening. Let me tell you, listening is such an important skill. Some people even say counseling happens just by listening. And what do we listen to? If you look at this pie chart, 55% of our communication is nonverbal. And this nonverbal communication has to do with our gestures, facial expressions, posture, silence. These are all nonverbal. Let me give you an example. Teacher in the classroom is giving out marks, and the marks of Raju came, and Raju is a poor student. And what did teacher say? Raju, you got... So what does that mean? It means, Raju, you got a 0 in your maths. Suppose the same teacher is having a meal and the food is delicious, and she has a morsel of food in her mouth and she said, What does that mean? It means the food is tasty and delicious. The same gesture has different meanings in different situations. We must watch out when we interact with our students. What are our gestures conveying? What are our facial expressions conveying? Are we conveying respect, dignity, acceptance? And are we listening to their non-verbal communication? Are we receiving also non-verbal communication? When a student is depressed, they can show in their body language. Sad eyes, bent, bowed head, drooping body posture, all this conveys that they're sad and depressed. How are we leveraging it for our learning? Listen to verbal and observe the non-verbal. Okay, so 36% is vocal, tone, pitch, and pace. 7% is verbal. So listen to the 7% verbal, which is very limited. But you can understand a student so much through the non-verbal. Listen to verbal, observe the non-verbal with your two eyes, and understand their emotions. So the purpose of listening is to understand their emotions, connect at an emotional level, and give them confidence, give them satisfaction, give them sense of well-being, and say, my lecturer, my teacher values me, irrespective of. That can make a life. Third one, empathy. This is said, it's a crown jewel of counseling. And empathy tells me that I must get into their shoes. Get into their shoes. Meaning, feel with them. Feel the college as a student is feeling. Feel the curriculum as the student is feeling. Feel what happened in the family. If a student says, I come from a dysfunctional family. I mean, they may not use the word dysfunctional, but if a student is coming from a dysfunctional family where father is drunkard, father is beating his mother, imagine how he should be feeling. And he's not able to concentrate on his studies. Even among affluent people, the parents are going through divorce proceedings, are contemplating divorces. There is shouting and arguments always. How is a student feeling? How can they concentrate on academics when all these things are going on? When students smoke, when students take to alcohol, when students are in pornography, there is an underlying issue, loneliness. Underlying issue, some relationship between boyfriend and girlfriend may have broken up. There's an underlying issue that they are anxious. They're caught up in some sort of fights. Can we draw them out? And to be able to draw them out requires building of trust. So you must grant them confidentiality. Tell them that whatever they share will not go out to anybody else, parents or other colleagues or anything. Yes, if there's a threat to life, you must inform. Don't promise that confidentiality and inform the authorities in the institution. But understand what they are going through. Get into their shoes. Empathize with them before you judge them, before you confront them, before you correct them, before you sermonize them, before you advise them. Empathize with them. It must be difficult for you. Kya guzar hoga aap par? What must you be going through because of this? I'm so sorry that I've never known what you're going through. I'm willing to work with you. I'm willing to help you. I empathize with you. Get into their shoes. Feel their position and then feel their pain. Okay? So feel their pain. Half the pain is gone when you listen. Half the pain is gone when you attentively listen, because you are giving value to that person. And somebody said, in fact, Albert J. Nimith, he said, to listen is to heal. To listen is to heal. Half the healing is happening when you listen. The second half is so important, and that is to empathize without judging. Empathize. And if you see the picture, what is written on the floor, one is seeing it as 6, one is seeing it as a 9. So sometimes teachers and students are like this. The teacher is saying it's 9, but the student saying, I see it as 6. So what must a teacher do? A teacher must go to the other side, come alongside the student and say, from your side, I can see it is 6. So let me give you one illustration and move on. And what is that? Once one young girl came into our counseling office and she said, Uncle, I feel like killing my mother. And I said spontaneously, Beta, I would love to help you kill your mother, but tell me why. So she was shocked for a moment, and then she laughed. And she knew that I did not mean that I was actually going to help her kill her mother. But I went to her side. I agreed with her for a moment, but tell me why. So the whole thing became a light moment. And she said, Uncle, mommy, and okay, don't worry, I can manage with my mom. All that she wanted is somebody to feel her pain. All right. So last one, counseling skill 4 is confrontation. Finally place the truth before the person. Finally say, this is how you should act. This is the intervention you should make. This is the correction that you make. All right, confrontation. State the truth in an acceptable manner. All right, don't sermonize. Don't use this finger like this and say, could you possibly do this? Can you attempt this way? Can you prepare in this manner? Perhaps this is a better way to do it than this. That is confrontation. And provide an alternative frame of reference. So just as we saw in the previous slide, you are seeing it as 9, the student is seeing it as 6. So what must you do after you go that side? The confrontation is, now, my dear friend, why don't you come to the other side and see that it is not 6, but it is 9. So that is confrontation. And that can happen only when you empathize. But many teachers, many parents, what they do is, without listening, without empathizing, they straight away go to confrontation. All students are like this. Everybody is a rogue, and they go for confrontation straight away, and that is not going to help. All right. So what are we saying? Summary: if you listen to people with interest, they will invest their capital with you. Okay, it is a financial statement I'm making. I'm using the financial language. You're all, Commerce, Institute of Commerce. If you listen to people with interest, they will invest their capital with you. A teacher is called to be a counselor. Students have personal problems that hinder their growth and progress. Accept them with their shortcomings. Listen to their problems. Empathize with their pain, confront them with an alternative way. Some will change. Every individual is worth your time. Some will change. Every individual is worth his time. Thank you so much for your attention. I'll be happy to receive your feedback, and please send me and interact with me, and I'll be happy to do that. So thank you, Principal Sir. Thank you, Karthika Madam, and all the organizers for this opportunity to serve 500 plus distinguished members of Teaching Fraternity. I'm so grateful to God and thankful to all of you. God bless.
Thank you so much, sir. It was indeed a wonderful session. Really enlightening. We'll take questions, sir, now from the participants.
Sure.
Yes,
sir, if you don't mind, the last slide where the summary is given.
Okay.
So
we'll do
everybody. Thank you, sir.
Shall I stop?
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay. The participants, if you have a question, you may please raise your hand. We are going to unmute you, and then you can ask your question. You can unmute yourself and then ask the question. Lakshmi Rajput. Devender Domati. Okay. Pardasarthi Nallapati.
Sir, good evening, sir. Can I ask a question, sir?
Good evening, Gandhi. Yeah.
Especially ideologically prejudiced అయి ఉంటారు కదా, వాళ్ళని కౌన్సిలింగ్ చేయటం ఎట్లా? అంటే సంబడి ఇస్ డాగ్మా రాదర్ డైహార్డ్ ఐడియాలజికల్, ఒక పార్టీకి కానీ ఒక సిద్ధాంతానికి కానీ డైహార్డ్ ఉంటారు, అది దేశానికి ఉపయోగపడకపోవచ్చు మాలిన పరిస్థితుల్లో, వాళ్ళని కౌన్సిలింగ్ చేయటం ఎట్లా?
Right. Absolutely. Very good, sir. Patsadi, I mean,
I do counsel some people.
Really
sir.
touched upon a very important, excellent. Thank you. See, ideologically, how do we change? One of the things that is implicit in counseling is to develop a conversation. When I say conversation, it's not about chit-chatting, but serious conversation in terms of how did that student come to believe in ideology? Second, as a counselor, we need to inform ourselves what are the salient features of that ideology. Third one, what are your life lessons that you have learned and what is your ideology? And then compare notes and say what are the pros and cons. We set out to disprove one ideology, set out to talk ill of an ideology, but share from your own perspective what is your ideology, what are the pros and cons, what are the pros and cons of his or her ideology, and if that ideology is dangerous, then, like we said in confrontation, don't you think that so many people who have subscribed to this ideology have failed? How is it that you think you can succeed? Like, say, for example, Naxalism. All right.
Yes.
It used to be very popular in college campuses.
Yes.
Now, how can we engage the view? The key word is engage. Engage is not a confrontation, but having a conversation to examine the pros and cons and giving them an alternative way of life. Does that help you, sir?
Sir, can I add something to that, sir?
Please.
See, they are brainwashed.
Yeah.
Right? They go to the extent of rather trying to motivate or give counseling to the counselor.
Correct.
That is the problem. That is the problem. Especially
absolutely. They try to convert you.
Because I worked in rural area for 30 years. I helped students in my own way.
Yes,
because
sir.
Their parents come and request me to change their children to be responsible towards family.
Absolutely.
I have my own methods. But the thing is, sometimes they are on behalf of them will come and try to change the counselor rather than give counseling to the counselor. That is
sir,
the problem.
I have two suggestions to make.
Yes.
I have two points to add. You're absolutely right. They are so diehard believers in certain ideologies, they try to convert you. So, but when you have engaged, when you have given an alternative frame of reference for life, two things will happen. One, that person will know when his ideology fails, where to go.
Yes.
So he remembers you, Parthasarathi sir, has an alternative way of life. Let me go to him. So today you have informed him. Tomorrow, your truth, your help is available. He will come back to you. Second, in the meanwhile, I am a firm believer of God. So I pray to God for such people and say, God, please save them from wrong ways of life. So, yes, God can also act on behalf of our goodwill and bring such people into the right paths. So I do these two things. So we cannot change the world overnight. And we must do our bit and leave it with them. And one day they may arrive at the truth.
Thank you, sir. So kind of you.
Thank you.
I'm convinced.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. We'll take the next question, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm Uma Devi, Faculty of English. Here is one question from the chat box, which I want to put it to you.
Right.
It is from Shah Jalpa. She is asking, if students feel abuses in school or family, how we can counsel them?
Oh, okay. If student is abused in the family.
Yeah, in family and in school.
Huh?
In family
Sorry?
as well as in
family
school.
or school. Right. Family and school, right? Both are there.
Yes, both are there.
Right. Okay. Now, abuse are of different kinds. This particular teacher perhaps does not share what kind of abuse, but let me share with you, abuse are of different kind. Emotional abuse, physical abuse, as in beating children very badly. All right. Emotional abuse is scolding miserably. Physical abuse is beating. Third one is abusing children financially. You know, sometimes teachers can exploit. And fourth one is even sexually. Okay, there are several kinds of abuse. Now, depending on the severity of abuse, we have to be very careful. If as a teacher, I am trained to address the issues of abuse, then I must deal with it. But if not, I must make a referral of that student with the permission of the student, particularly parents, if the student is minor. If not, if it's an adult, if it's a major student, directly to the student, refer that student to a trained counselor. Never attempt it on your own. With your basic skills and good attitudes, what discussed, you can assure that student that you will find help for that student. Listen to them, empathize with them, and be helpful, strike a rapport with them. But then dealing with deeper issues of abuse, we must refer the students to trained counselors. And they are equipped to deal with it at depth. Otherwise, the children can be traumatized even more. There could be more danger there.
What you say is correct, sir. Only at one level, teachers can deal with the students and their issues. But once it is going beyond, it is always good to have counseling sessions.
Yes, ma'am. You're right. There is a simple principle of first aid. You know what is the first principle of first aid? If you can't do any good, don't do any bad. If you can't do any good, don't do further damage.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you can listen, if you can encourage, all that is very good, even for a person who is going through abuse or gone through abuse. But thereafter, how to change their deep-rooted prejudices of people and depression and other things, kindly refer them to trained counselor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. That is very good indeed.
Yes.
Good evening, sir. I am Deepika, lecturer in English.
Yes.
A question from YouTube chat, sir. Indumati Srinivasan.
Yeah.
How do we make it clear to the student that even though I care for them, I will still stay impartial while awarding marks?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, one is very simple, that you verbally tell that person, while you are coming to me for this help, I will certainly walk with you, but don't ever imagine or believe that I will be in any way partial towards you in your favor by giving you more marks. So whenever students steer the conversation towards academics, make it clear. But if it is about other issues of life, you don't have to worry about it because they're not concerned about it. Second thing is, you already know if this student is really in need of marks, because sometimes even intelligent students can have personal problems. So at that time, they're not really looking for marks. But if students are really, without putting effort and things like that, struggling with marks, then do that. Children from probably schools and colleges where such practices were practiced may expect. Sometimes students try to give some goodies to you, some gift on a particular day to win your favor. Such things, you let them know that politely refuse and say such expensive gifts are not to be received. Because automatically there is an inherent expectation. I give you this gift and it crosses certain ethics, boundaries of ethics. So make sure that you say right in the beginning when you are orienting students and when you are striking a note on counseling and say, well, we are starting a fresh batch. I'm very happy. I'm here not only for academics, but for some students who are struggling with personal issues, you're most welcome to share so that you become a well-rounded student. All right. So at that time itself, you can say, oh, just because you come for counseling, don't think that I'll give you more marks. No, it is only to address your personal problems. So those, what do we call them? We will call them disclaimers. Already, right in the beginning, make the disclaimer and say, counseling doesn't mean that I'll give you marks. Counseling means I'll help you to become a better person, hardworking person, and God willing, successful person.
Yes. Can I ask a question, please?
Is it Razia, ma'am?
Yes.
Please.
So my question is, counseling is advised as a potent tool to overcome an unhealthy state of mind.
Can you speak a little louder, please?
Counseling is advised as a potent tool to overcome an unhealthy state of mind. I also advise my students to go to professional counselors, but I get the feedback from the students that it's very expensive and unaffordable. As for counselors, time is money. Your take on this, sir?
Yes. First and foremost, I want to encourage every teacher who is on this particular class or talk and encourage you that if you get some basic training, you can be as effective as a professional counselor. Okay. Now, it is expensive. It's becoming more expensive these days, but there are several helplines and several bodies who are NGOs. If they can spot an NGO, they can receive good counseling at no cost. Most of the NGOs offer free counseling. So if you can suggest to them to look for an NGO, and we offer at our NGO person. That is the organization, person to person. We are based in Hyderabad, and quality equally professional. We are not psychologists, we are not psychiatrists, but we are an NGO. We are trained counselors, and we offer that counseling. So I would encourage your students to go and spot an NGO. And ma'am, you can actually, as an institution, develop a referral list, meaning if you can do small research in your region and see who are providing these kind of counseling skills and refer them to such counselors who offer free or at almost no cost counseling, that will be great. And secondly, I would say, ma'am, it will be wonderful if every major institution, according to the government policy, has trained counselors. And I would say all teachers must go through orientation in counseling.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
sir, there is one question from the chat box from Sanyo Geeta.
Yeah.
She is asking, sir, how to counsel students having financially weak background to develop confidence to withstand the other students with different status?
Yes. You mean they lack financially to become equal in their social spending, or what is it? Can you read that
I
question?
don't think that it is about spending socially. To getting along in the classroom, maybe when you are having different financial status.
Yes.
How to get
Yeah.
on in the classroom.
Right. I told you, just to shorten it, and sorry for the personal reference, but this person, Rangaraju, in MBA, who wanted to copy from my paper, but then I did combined studies with him. He happened to be a very, very rich boy. And his father was an RTO, RTA, Road Transport Authority official. He used to come in one new car every day almost. So, but still, I did not have any such thing. I carried with self-respect and dignity, and I said, I'm here to study. And there was a good equation between him and me because he respected good studies, good academics. So if we can encourage and inspire these students who are very intelligent, probably financially not well off, and say, don't worry about the finances. Well, your friend may treat you with biryani on one day, but you can treat him at least with a cup of tea on one day. That is enough among friendship. So I always used to say this, boss, I cannot treat you like you are treating me, but this is my capacity. Are we friends? So that's how I built up my friendships when I was in college. So encourage students and said, our relationships are not to be based on economics, finances. Our relationship must be based on mutual respect. If we can encourage them to build their life on those sound foundations, they may not have rich friends, but they will have genuine friends.
That is correct, sir.
Okay.
There is also one more question, which says, it is from Dr. Suvanshu Rao, Suvanshu Pam. When comes from school to college, students have to live a new life.
Correct.
What will be our duty as teacher to counsel them for a new way of life?
Yeah.
It means the transition from the school to the college.
Yes. I think we must really give them a good orientation. Orientation is, in school you were wearing a uniform. Yes, you're not going to wear a uniform in college. Okay, that is as simple as that. But then, how can they celebrate this newfound freedom? What are the dangers of mixing with students from different cultures? What should they keep in mind in terms of language? How to respect how students from well-to-do families must respect the poor students who come from poor background, and how poor students can have self-confidence in spite of their humble backgrounds. If we can give them an orientation for a day, even organizing it as a retreat, taking them to a place or in our auditorium and inviting resource people to encourage them and prepare them. And most of them those resource people should be from within the institute, which will do wonders. So an orientation to prepare them for the new environment will be a great help.
One more question, sir.
Yeah, ma.
From YouTube, sir.
Yeah.
Some students who are active in student politics do not regard any respect to teachers. How to counsel such things? It's from Debajioti Better Charge.
Okay, can you just read there was a slide breaking.
Okay, sir. Some students who are active in student politics do not regard any respect to teachers. How to counsel such things?
Okay, students who are involved in student politics, is it?
Yes, sir. True. Yes, sir.
They don't regard
mostly
teachers.
student organizations.
Student organizations. Yeah. I think these people make up, my understanding, these people make up for good leadership potential. Now, they are like strong currents of rivers, and they can sway the students like this. So if we can win these students and channelize their strength properly, it will be a wonderful thing. The moment somebody subscribes to one student union, the moment somebody subscribes to election, somebody stands for election, immediately we say that these people are not serious about their studies and brand them as useless or unsocial or somehow put them in the negative limelight. But unfortunately, whether we like it or not, eventually we have to work with them. So I believe that when we are able to relate to them and preempt some of the possible mischief that they may involve in and say, look, I want to work with you. We want to work with you. And let us conduct elections in a manner that is, call all the candidates, conduct the election in such a way that it is fair and free and so on and so things. And let them know that, yes, the leadership exercise that is going on in so-called political parties and all that, the leadership exercise is sacred, is important, is necessary, not that it is a necessary evil. The moment we look at it as a necessary evil, then we have lost the whole conversation with them. So we become two parties, they on one side and we on one side. So how can we join forces? And like we looked at the empathy exercise, we are on one side with our position, they are on their side of their position. There's no common ground. How can we go to their side? So shall we develop an ethics committee? You send one or two members from your group. You send one or two members from your group. Let us make an ethics committee and let us follow some ethics. Would be one way to go forward. All right. So politics, quote unquote, is a necessary thing. Let us convert it into a good exercise rather than straight away, right from the beginning, brand it as a necessary evil. That's my take. Others can do that.
That's correct.
Yes,
sir. That is workable. And here we have many more questions from the chat box. One is, how does one cope up with a professional bully? It is from Jury. No. Yeah, it is from K. Aruna Kumari. She is asking, how do one cope up with professional bully?
Okay, how can we cope with professional bullying?
Professional bullying.
Yes, meaning what I understand is that I am a part of the teaching staff in one particular institution, and there is a colleague or somebody who is above me, who is bullying me, who is dominating me, who is making my life miserable. All right. There are 2-3 points I want to share. One, the first step is build a relationship with this person. Every bully is a disgruntled, dissatisfied person at some level. All right. They have their own problems. That's why they somehow want to dominate here. So we need to understand what is really going on in this person's life. In their weak moments, they will take away their mask of a bully and show their true vulnerable side. So at that time, ask, ma'am, sir, how can I be of help in this situation? What's going on? And when you come across, for the time being, ignore their bullying tactics, but come along and say, how can I be of help? Every person, no matter how strong they are, they have their weak moments. At that time, a natural human tendency is, now is the time to get even. So far, he or she has done this to me. Now let me get my revenge. No, that is the time you show that you can make a difference in their lives. It will break them. It will show that, yes, after all, in spite of all that I've done, this person is helpful to me, has spoken well of me, has spoken the good side of me and not highlighted the bad side of me, can make a difference. One, but then not everybody will change. Second, say it 2-3 times. Second, take it to the next level, scale up the matter to the head of the department or whoever is the head, and said, I'm not here to complain and want you to take action on that. I want to really overcome this bullying and not be affected by it. If you can, please intervene in this matter without really harming that person. I'll be very happy. Could be the second one. Another way to do it is, if that bully is bullying everybody, then all of you can go and have a conversation with that person, still with the same intention, saying, we are affected by it, it's not fair, and still being helpful in their vulnerable moments so that that person can change. And then the third one is to take it up to the next level and leave it at that. That would be a good way, or one good way to go forward.
Yes, sir. We have a question from Sunil Abraham. Sir, are you ready with the question?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Please.
Okay. So, good evening, sir. Thank you for that excellent and informative lecture. Thank you, Samson, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening, sir. So, I am Sunil Abraham Thomas from Kerala. So, my question is, these days students are extremely influenced by their peers, or we say that the peer pressure is one of the serious issue which we need to handle these days.
Right.
If we take them individually, we can do miracles with them. But when they are part of a big group or a group, we are very difficult to handle them. So, do you have any suggestion to take care of this particular problem? Thank you, sir.
Definitely. Thank you. Very, very pertinent, very important situation for young students, especially when they come from college, schools, and then come to colleges. That's a very vulnerable situation. Somehow, Sunil sir, somehow, all of us, not only students, let us look at ourselves. In fact, students or children follow this whole philosophy of peer pressure and succumb to peer pressure based on how parents succumb to peer pressure. If they saw parents succumb to peer pressure, they will also do it. One. Number two, they think that the strategy is the only way I can develop a personal intrinsic value. They may not use those words, intrinsic value, true value, inner worth, by external. Now, what is a peer pressure? For example, they have one particular phone. And if they see a higher model of phone with their other students, what is a peer pressure? I must buy a phone like that. Now, they're thinking that they are hip, they are very, good, very attractive, only if they have phone like that. Now, once we develop a relationship with them, ultimately all counseling is with a relationship and trust. After that, ask them, are you trying to buy this new phone so that you want to impress another girl or a boy? Now, that's where you break ice. What is their motivation behind the peer pressure? That they're succumbing to the peer pressure. Another way is boys want to buy a very fast motorbike. Sometimes they're not even of age, they want to buy a bike, and very fast motorbike. Sometimes they want to dress in a particular manner. Imagine girls, my goodness, the kind of dressing they do entirely for peer pressure, not only for boys, sake of boys, entirely for peer pressure. Yes. Now we can actually tape a conversation or take it from YouTube and show them how boys speak of girls who dress like this. That should be an eye-opener. Do you want to be talked about like this? On one hand, they succumb to the peer pressure like this. And once they see the reality, then perhaps they will change. Now, they don't have to really dress as a very conservatively, They must change, they must adapt, be presentable, but don't have to dress immodestly. Yes, you may need a bike, but why do you want to, put so much of pressure on your parents by buying a bike which is 5 lakhs, 3 lakhs, 2 lakhs, whatever? Why don't you, for time being, buy this, which serves your purpose? And many times, students who succumb to peer pressure have a script in their mind. If only if I do this, I will be accepted. No, that is what we have to, that myth is what we have to break. No, you are accepted for your character, not what you possess. You're respected, appreciated for your well-rounded personality, right? Now, let's say, for example, I used to mix with all students. Some used to smoke, some used to even drink. I said, no, I am willing to work with you, but then I will not do those things. So having friends does not mean we have to necessarily succumb to it. But if there are friends who will force somebody to do it, then we must tell the students it's best to come out of such group. Yes, if you can be friends and nobody will force me, then it's all right. That is safe. But if somebody is forcing me, it's not good. That's an abusive relationship. I must move away from that. Okay, sir? Sunil, sir?
And last 1 or 2 questions, ma'am.
Okay, sir. One question from YouTube, sir.
Yeah.
Sri Priya. Sir, what is your advice for a teacher who is a beginner in teaching field?
Who is a teacher in beginning? Who's a
beginner in teaching field. Yes, sir.
Beginner in teaching field. I don't know. I mean, there are so many, senior teachers. I'm very. I don't think that I'm the best person to ask that, but I'll attempt. I would say, I'll repeat my first opening remark, and that is, somehow God has given you a precious opportunity to shape lives. Engineers will shape a product, not lives. All right? But you as a teacher is shaping the character, molding a destiny, and inspiring people, inspiring students to change the society. So I will share this quotation. It says, a cobbler may steal a nail, but an engineer may steal a rail. So education without character will make us better thieves. So no matter how high the education, character is the heart of education. Somehow, if we can impact a student along with the academics, impact the students for character formation, and ultimately to help somebody, help somebody, that will do wonders. Not be selfish, but be helpful, be sacrificial to a degree.
Nice.
Okay, sir. Here I will combine few of the questions that are asked and pose it to you, sir. The first part of the questions will be like this. There are some teachers who want to know, if they are counseling the students, negativity is spread against them among the students, how to deal with that? And then also, we are not paid properly. There are no appointments. This question is coming from Maharashtra.
Correct.
So they are saying, how can you hope that a teacher can be a nation builder? How can he play that role?
Yes. I really
also,
sympathize you.
I'll put this question as well, sir. How to counsel fellow teachers?
Fellow teachers.
Yeah. When there is
yes, very good. Okay. Let me take the first one. And the first one is a very important question. And you have put a finger on a very important thing. And that is other teachers spreading bad blood against you if you're counseling. So other teachers are thinking you will become more popular. Other teachers are thinking that they will be put in bad light, or they will be asked to be counselors. So yes, a teacher can play the role of a counselor more effectively if the institution has a counseling policy. If the institution expects all the teachers to have a counseling attitude and a counseling orientation. So it will help teachers like this who want to be counselors on their own for the good of the students. So it will be easy for such teachers. Second, yes, as a counselor, it may be difficult when they are spreading bad blood. If you know who is spreading bad blood, then you can go up to that teacher and follow the same method as we talked about the bully, professional bully. Okay, have a conversation and said, please, I'm doing this. All right, I know that it may be difficult for you, but it will not do any harm to you. This. All right. And I will, wherever possible, wherever necessary, I will always speak good about you. I will not harm you. So please allow me to do this. It's a good way to appeal. There's nothing wrong in it. All right. And the respect for you will only go up in the eyes of that person. And it is possible the person may heed. All right. So the third one is ultimately, yes, sometimes for doing good, we have to face some criticism, some slander. But nevertheless, let's continue to do it. One day it will stop. Because if somebody is saying bad, let us not stop doing good and become useless, less effective. We have to pay the price sometimes. All right. That one. The second question is, we are not paid properly. I'm so sorry. Teacher is one of the best profession and most challenging. That the government brings teachers on par with the best of the professions. And the teachers also must give the best, because that is very important. So I pray that the policymakers will respond to this request and make it a priority for the teachers to be paid good, decent and good salaries. The next one is, what was the third one, ma'am?
It is regarding how we can, this is it, sir. These are the questions that you have answered. It is like, how can a teacher be a facilitator with limited flexibility? Now, a teacher having limited flexibility, how can they be counselors?
Right. Okay, good. Now, I'm not saying, and I'm not even expecting, that all students need counseling, this kind of counseling that we're talking about. If you take a student of a class of 50 students, the population curve will tell you that 10% of the class are stars. They don't need any help, whether it is academic, emotional, or otherwise. They don't need any help. They're stars. Then 10% on the other end are not stars, but students with a lot of challenges and difficulties. And in the middle, you have 80% who are average. They will get by. They may not need much of counseling. But who are the people who need counseling? The 10%. And 10% of 50 is 5 people. So my suggestion is spot and identify these 5 needy students and dedicate your time for them, prioritize them. And that becomes a manageable task. And anybody else who come, yes, you respond to them on a need to respond basis. But these people, you devote more time and prioritize them.
Thank you very much, sir. And here's one more question. Maybe this will be the last one we'll be asking. Chitra Prasad is asking, how can we counsel the students who are frequently visiting porn sites and using mobiles excessively? Shall I repeat the question, sir?
I couldn't hear the question.
Okay.
Slowly,
How
ma'am. Yeah,
can
I think
we
this is
counsel
better.
the students? How can we counsel the students
Yeah.
who are frequently visiting porn sites and using mobiles excessively?
Right, right. I would say first and foremost, set a personal example and say, students in the class, I'm switching off my phone. I will not respond to it. But are there colleges where some teachers respond to their calls on the telephone while the class is going on? I don't know.
Yes,
right?
there are some good.
Yeah. If that happens, we cannot expect students not to use. Okay. So set a personal example, first one. Second one is make your class so interesting that they are not interested to watch their phone. Right? Right. Then, third one is, let's appeal to the students. See, in the college, force and strictness may not work. Appeal to the students and said, look, I have switched off my phone and I'm keeping it on the table. Can you please switch off your phone and keep it on the table in front so that I know that none of you are using it? Right? So at least in the classroom, we have helped them not to use it. Okay, then in the class, I could even get them, if they are so addicted to it, I could say, okay, halfway through the class, I'm stopping now. Take up your phones. If you want to send a message to somebody, send a message, and then let's keep it back again on the table. Will that help? Is a question. So arrive at a strategy mutually through conversation and said, how shall we have classes without any major interference from usage of cell phones? Can be one way to look at it. Okay, ma'am?
Yes. But I propose that there are many number of apps that are useful. If a teacher can access those apps and learn herself or himself, they can happily engage their mobile phones in the classroom without any problem.
Sure.
So I'm doing it.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And I know that these students enjoy the class.
Right.
Whenever there is a phone that is used, because they feel that the teacher is connecting with them.
Right.
So that is,
yeah. On the excellent, ma'am. On the, I'll just I'm inspired by your response. I just want to say one point, and that is, today education is no more information dissemination.
right, sir.
They can read what you want to talk about, at least from the curriculum, from the textbooks. They can read it. So always challenge the students that you read and come, we will just discuss and have fun.
Correct, sir.
Yeah. So that may help. I do that sometimes.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciations are pouring in the chat box, and there are many other questions, but since it's like 5 minutes past 6, and it was a wonderful session, sir. It was very enlightening and very informative. And I request Deepika ma'am to propose vote of thanks.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, one and all. I, L. Deepika, lecturer in English. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to propose the vote of thanks. I, Deepika, on behalf of management, Department of Commerce and English, thank you, sir, for delivering your valuable and provoking speech about how a teacher can be a challenging counselor and compiler. You made us aware of how teacher can be a counselor by adopting 4 attitudes and 4 skills. And also we thank you for the patience you have answered the questions very, very nicely, and we got the main concept what we wanted to gain. How the counseling results in constructive, caring relationships, clear relationship boundaries, and they are life skills, the kinds of attitude and skills required for effective counseling. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It is
Thank
very informative indeed, a very excellent session, sir. You were very inspiring and informative. Thank you very much.
Kartika, an announcement for tomorrow's session. Announcement.
Yes, sir. Tomorrow's session will start by 4. It is Teaching the Digital Natives by Lekha Sista ma'am. And we'll start admitting from 3:45 in the Zoom.
One more, sir. Excuse me. Dear participants, the feedback link will be disabled today at 8 p.m. in night. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Samson Gandhi garu. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Umadevi madam. Thank you, Kartika madam.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you all, Kartika, Uma madam, Deepika, Jalandhar, Padasarthi garu. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Well done.
Yes.
We will stop the meeting today. Jalandhar, you can stop our meeting for today.
Okay, we will have a small screenshot with our resource person.
Yes.
Yeah, please.
It will be,
Yes,
it will be
sir.
good for us.
All those who are there on the screen.
Just turn on your, who are there in our meeting, just turn on your video. Who are participating with the mobile, just set your auto rotate on and flip your mobile horizontally so that your picture will be good. Yes, please. Some of you not turn on your video, only your name will be printed on the screen. I will wait for 5 more minutes. Anybody want to turn on your video? Just
5 more seconds.
5 more seconds.
Yes.
Okay, okay, sir.
So Vijay Govind, if you are there, please. Sumaya.
Only 2 screen people are enabled their cameras.
Okay, Jalandhar.
Okay, sir. I will stop it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Yes, madam. Deepika madam. Shall I end the meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.